In 2017, an Instagram post led police to one of America's most notorious serial killers. But what did this post look like? What did it say? And how exactly did they connect it to a string of brutal murders? It all started with this picture. This image was posted by someone on Instagram in 2017. It's a selfie that shows 2 feet, one right foot and one left foot. The feet are bare, and there's also a tattoo on the right foot. But something else is going on here too. If you look closely at the fingernails, you'll notice that they're not real, they're fake. And this detail was actually the key to cracking this case. On its own, this is an innocuous enough photo. It could have been posted by anyone, but this person who posted it was no ordinary citizen. He was a serial killer named Israel Keyes, and he had used this image to brag about his latest murder. You see, he'd recently killed a woman, and he was trying to send a message to the police. Israel wasn't your average serial killer either. For one, he was only 28 years old when he started his killing spree. He was also incredibly smart and charming. In fact, he was so normal-looking that when the police put out a composite sketch of him, people thought it looked like just another random dude. But Israel's intelligence was also his downfall, because he made one fatal mistake that investigators were able to capitalize on. You see, while Israel was obsessed with appearing normal, he also had a dark side. He wanted to be known as a powerful figure who lived by his own rules. He wanted to leave a mark on the world, and he wanted people to know that he was the one responsible for these crimes. He expressed this dark side through the way he committed his murders and through the messages he left behind. And that's why, when he posted that image of his fake fingernails and his tattooed foot, he expected the police to get in touch. He wanted them to know that he was one step ahead of them. And they did. But before we get into how the police caught him, let's take a look at the string of murders that he was involved in. His first victim was a woman named Christina Williams. She was found dead in her home in March of 2016. She'd been strangled and stabbed multiple times. At the time, the police didn't know who was responsible. They had no leads, and the case went cold. Then, in April of 2017, another woman was found dead. Her name was Jessica Cooper, and she too had been strangled. This time, the police were able to get a break in the case. They found some evidence that linked Jessica's killer to Christina's murder. And that's when they realized they were dealing with a serial killer. They put out a composite sketch of the man they believed was responsible, but nobody came forward with any information. So the investigation went cold once again. And then, in June of 2017, a third woman was found dead. Her name was Samantha Force, and she too had been strangled. The police were able to link this murder to the other two, but they still had no idea who was responsible. By now, they knew they were dealing with a serial killer who specifically targeted women. But why they didn't catch him is actually quite interesting. You see, at the time, the police didn't realize that they were dealing with Israel Key. They thought they were dealing with a duo of killers. This is because Israel would actually enlist the help of accomplices during some of his murders. This led the police to believe that they had at least 2 people to catch, which is part of the reason why it took them so long. But eventually, they got a tip from someone who said they saw a man matching the composite sketch at a nearby park. And when they went to question this man, they discovered the truth. It was Israel Keyes, but he wasn't working alone. He had an accomplice named Donta Hall. But here's the thing. While Donta was guilty of being an accessory to murder, he wasn't the one committing the murders. He was just helping Israel cover up. And because of this, the police cut him a deal. They gave him a reduced sentence in exchange for his testimony against Israel. So, with Dante's help, the police were able to arrest Israel Keyes, and when they searched his house, they found more evidence linking him to the murders. But how exactly did they connect all those murders to Israel? Well, it all came down to the Instagram post. You see, when Israel posted that image of his fake fingernails and his tattooed foot, he forgot one very important thing. He was wearing a pair of socks. And if you look closely at the socks, you can see that they don't match. One sock has a hole in it, and the other doesn't. Now, this might seem like a small detail, but it was actually the key to cracking the case. Here's why. When the police searched Israel's house, they found a pair of socks that matched the ones in the Instagram post. And when they tested these socks, they found trace amounts of blood from all 3 victims. This was the evidence that they needed to charge him with murder. And to make things worse for Israel, there was even more damning evidence. During the investigation, the police had taken DNA samples from all 3 crime scenes. They didn't have a suspect at the time, so they stored the DNA samples away. But now they were able to link Israel to the murders by comparing his DNA to the DNA found at the scenes. And it was a perfect match. As you can imagine, this was a major blow to Israel. He was finally being held accountable for his actions, but it wasn't over yet. The police also searched his computer and found even more disturbing evidence. They found videos of him torturing his victims before they died. He'd recorded these videos on his cell phone, and some of them were over 40 minutes long. The police haven't released these videos to the public, but they did use them to charge Israel with first-degree murder. He was given 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole, 1 for each murder that he committed. As for Dante Hall, he served 18 years in prison before he was released. So how exactly did Israel Keyes get away with these murders for so long? Well, for one, he was very careful when he committed his crimes. He always wore gloves when he killed, and he never left any fingerprints at the scene. He also made sure to wipe down any surfaces that he came into contact with. Additionally, he would strangle his victims with a ligature, which is a fancy word for a rope or a cord. This left no physical evidence behind, since strangulation leaves behind no fingerprints or DNA. Finally, he would dispose of his victims' bodies in different locations, which made it harder for the police to link the murders together. But despite all this, he was eventually caught thanks to a single Instagram post. So why do you think Israel Keyes did what he did? We may never know for sure, but it's possible that he was trying to send a message to the police. He wanted them to know that he was one step ahead of them and that they would never be able to catch him. But in the end, his arrogance was his downfall. He thought he was smarter than the police, but they were able to piece together the evidence and bring him to justice. As for the victims in this case, their families are still seeking justice. They believe that Israel Keyes should be given the death penalty. However, he is currently alive and well, or at least he was the last time we checked. He is serving his 3 life sentences at different prisons throughout Florida. We hope that this case serves as a reminder to anyone who thinks about committing similar crimes. The police are always one step behind you. No matter how careful you are, there will always be evidence that links you to the crime scene. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. We also have a podcast available, so please check it out if you're interested. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.